Hey there, we're the Westlot Pirates and welcome to the show. We're here to share our thoughts on Northwestern athletics and college sports with thoughts and analysis from the visceral to the statistical. We run our tailgate with the red pirate flag flying high above as we give no quarter, especially the fourth. I'm Sam Walter.
I'm John Lacombe.
And I'm Eric Skauspo.
Well, guys.
Though I wish I was Eric Jerry Neuheis.
Oh, boy.
I can lay no claim to that.
Yeah, we'll definitely be talking a little bit about UCLA and Jerry Neuheisel and all that. But before we get down that road, which I cannot wait to talk about, we do need to get into this 42-7 win over Louisiana Monroe. Just a lot of fun. There's a lot of great takeaways from this game.
Sammy,
where to begin? John, yeah, where should we begin?
Here's where I'll begin, Sammy. There was a moment
in
the stands.
I was going to say, much like before we hit record, I was fumbling over the start of the podcast here for take one. I think the Cats would like a do-over for the first 5 minutes of the game as well.
Yeah, ULM got the ball, and we'll circle back to this because they clearly had a script for the first series. But they moved the ball down. They hammered us 6 straight run plays, then ran a flea flicker over the top, scored a touchdown. And then, shortly thereafter, Northwestern was staring at 3rd and 14. And Sam and I definitely looked at each other in the north stands, and we're like, what if this goes this way? What does that mean? And it's like being like, I don't want this to happen. I want to push these questions out of my head, but what if this is it? Almost literally the best possible set of circumstances that could have unfolded for the rest of this day in and out of this game unfolded at that exact moment and thereon. From the moment Wagner caught that pass on 3rd and 14, this team just, we crushed them. 42 unanswered points. You have to go back to Maryland 2020 to see that many unanswered points and really to see this kind of beatdown. We put it on them.
I think what struck me was this broke the Northwestern mold of the last 15 years.
Yeah, forever pretty much.
In a number of ways. And you guys articulated the first one right there. I mean, when I saw that flea flicker and them score, I thought, oh boy, we are in for a ride today. And even if we hadn't completed that pass and we had gone down 10-0, Northwestern had the better team, there was every reason to believe that they would have come back in this game. But the script I expected, and we talked a lot about it last week, that it couldn't be this. The script I expected was clawing our way back, getting some solid defense from some solid turnovers, maybe some, good defensive play, et cetera. But digging our way out of a hole by hook or by crook and winning this game 26-21.
Mm-hmm.
That's what was in my head early on in this game. And the fact that not only did the Cats take a literal punch to the mouth and respond in the best way we've seen in 5 years, to your point, John, about that Maryland game, but there was no take it easy in this game. There was no, let's hold some stuff back. We don't need to do this. We can't this was full throttle. And I texted you guys midway through the third quarter with kind of the, wow, Lujan listened to the pod kind of perspective.
Thanks for listening, Coach. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we talked about it this last week.
Like and subscribe.
This is what they needed to do. And it's important to lay out a couple things. Because one, yes, this was an inferior team, and we've known that since the summer. But this was also not a whole division inferior team like when Northwestern's playing a Western Illinois. I mean, we looked better in this game than we looked against Western Illinois.
Oh, yeah, by far.
And because this was not a get up by a couple touchdowns and then just start hammering the ball down their throat with our running backs. We were throwing, we were running the offense, we were attacking downfield, we were going for it in high leverage situations like on fourth down. This is the kind of step on their throat, pedal to the metal game we've been waiting for Northwestern to play my entire flipping life since the year 2000.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Oh, my Lord. You mentioned the thing of being like, we did the thing. I think of the scene in Field of Dreams where Kevin Costner's first meeting, they've just gone to the baseball game, and then James Earl Jones finally admits that he saw Moonlight Graham, and Kevin Costner just goes, yes! And it's like this thing where it's like, thank you for doing the thing I desperately wanted you to do. And that's like, in this game, it's the offense. I mean, we came out of last game and being like, just play calling wise, just your offense is working. Just run the offense. And then we ran it in the exact right way. And again, it's like you have this thing where, exactly to your point, Scuzz, about like the balance and the play. After Elegon caught the second touchdown and we went up, and then we went for two, and we were up 15-7.
Talk about a sweet play by the way.
Oh, that was awesome.
Out and up and perfect execution. And honestly, we'll go into it. That's the third best Stone to Elegon combination of the day, because those guys had a couple absolute beauties between them. But this beautiful play. But at the moment we ran that, I looked at Sam and I was like, we can run any play we want the rest of the game. They have no idea what we're running play to play. We're distributing it evenly between the pass and the run. Multiple guys are touching the ball. At that point, Wilde didn't even have a reception.
Yeah, I mean, you turned to me and like it was the third quarter, and just like how many guys had multiple receptions, and Wilde has 0 at that point.
It was the polar opposite of last game from that perspective. ULM was just guessing. They had no idea. And Lujan, again, we're like, we all know this is a guy who needed a win and needed this to work out, and has a team that's playing really good football. Folks, 12 straight quarters, 3 straight games where everyone's like, you all know, you all listening, you all said in Oregon, oh my God, we were playing great if we just wouldn't have shot ourselves in the foot. And then UCLA, oh my gosh, we were playing great if we just would have like gotten out of our way with the play calling. And then it's like this. It's like the team's been playing great football, and they just executed the offense and the balance. For me, the play calling, and there were some great ones, credit to Lujan. But to me, the pièce de résistance was the 3rd and 7 run to Komolafe that he broke for the big touchdown play. Even on the announce, you hear the announcer go, oh, they're going to run. And it's like, yes, no one knew you were going to call the play that you called there. And you watch all caps best center in the Big Ten, Jackson Carcello, absolutely level a dude who did not think we were going to be running on that play, and then busted up the middle. And it's just like, it was a team where we were the superior team with the superior talent, playing superior football and executing superior plays, and they had no answer. And it's just like, we've been nibbling around the edges of this forever. And then to see it, you're just like, yes, just do this thing.
And here's the thing, like, yes, it is Louisiana Monroe. There is a big talent gap between us and them. For sure. Like, I'm not trying, like, we're not saying, oh yeah, we would do this against anybody, but the proof of concept, right? You know, to see creativity in the play calling and leaning into our strengths and, you know, doing the things that we need to be doing against better teams than that, and doing it to Louisiana Monroe in such an efficient and well executed fashion. You can do that to other teams. Let's see that.
I feel like since the 2012 season, I've been watching Northwestern in the games where they do have a decided physical advantage and they can create a result like this, like actively choosing not to do so.
Yeah.
and that includes almost every team in the MAC that we've played in the last decade and a half. Games like this one, like games early in seasons in September in particular, and I do not believe it is in service of like quote unquote don't show them the playbook. I think it is more about preserving it against injury or this idea of, well, we don't need to keep scoring, so we can put some of that aside or save some of that for later in the like. And what it has missed for years is that, like, college football games are hard, no matter who you're playing against. Executing a college football game is not easy. Getting an opportunity to do so and do it like in the way that you want to go about it against your toughest opponents as well. Of course, you're going to like leave tricks in your bag and things that some of the most exotic stuff that you might want to save for those big games. Like ULM was in their bag the first two series of this game because they had circled this game on the calendar. We get to shot at a Big Ten team. Let's go for it. We're going to pull out the flea flicker. We're gonna do X. We're gonna do Y. We're gonna do Z. But just for so long, Northwestern has actively chosen in these types of matchups to not operate to maximum capacity, and they operated to maximum capacity. And now we know again, like we know what it's supposed to look like.
Exactly. And
it's not going to go this well in most of the rest of the games on our schedule because the talent is going to be better. But the guys on the team have had an opportunity now to operate at maximum capacity, not at practice speed, not at like first quarter and then shut it down speed, not even against the FCS team that has such a huge gap in talent. This is an FBS squad, and one that, like John, you talked about the game that kind of jumped up out of nowhere and bit James Madison last year. Like at no point did I ever think we were in jeopardy of losing this game, but to see a complete performance from our team, to know that our guys now know what great looks like and they can build off of that is a huge asset for the rest of this year.
1,000%,
for sure.
Yeah.
And you mentioned ULM and like comparing like the fact that like ULM, they were 3-1 coming into this game. And yeah, they have the massive loss to Alabama, but they beat
is Alabama good or something? I don't know.
Yeah, right. I mean, like that's Alabama. They beat St. Francis, a team that is basically Western Illinois level, 29-0. And they beat UTEP and Arkansas State, like who are both certainly better than Western Illinois. Like it's two different levels of team. And that we came out and played this way. It's just a massive step up in terms of like, exactly. We've been waiting to see this team play this kind of football and then to finally see it. We should start right off the bat with Preston Stone.
Yeah,
Yep.
Look, let's go.
PFF ratings, as we've discussed relative to Robert Fitzgerald last week, are an imperfect system, okay? With that said...
More art than science.
Yeah. With that said, Preston Stone was one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the nation in PFF grade this week. He PFF grade of 90. And this is the thing. Basically, the national landscape kind of effectively left Preston Stone for dead after the first 2 weeks of the season. And really maybe since halftime of the Oregon game, Preston Stone's played great football for 9 straight quarters now, since the fourth quarter of the Oregon game. When he stopped throwing those balls over the middle. He connected on that first deep ball to Wagner, which was the start of the Drew Wagner renaissance that we're currently in the middle of right now. And since then, no turnovers. He hasn't dropped the football, playing just straight up, not forcing balls over the middle, making all of his reads. And then in this game, there was one play, and I'll probably put up the video on our Twitter feed of it tomorrow. We mentioned earlier that the pass to go up to score the second touchdown to Elegon, that to me was the third best play to Elegon of the day. The best play was, I mean, you watch this play, And you watch Stone and you're like, this guy's on a different planet than he was in week 1 right now. ULM rushes 3, drops 8. And the play has Elegon to the right running a deep post, or like a mid post, I guess, like an in, like a slant route. And then Wagner and Wilde are running a route combination on the left side, which, first of all these guys did was run route combinations all day today. After for the first 4 weeks, we're like, just run some route combinations.
I've been wanting route combinations since I read like Football 101 like 7 years ago.
Right.
Like,
and then it was just nothing but all day. But they drop 8. You watch Stone drop back. He looks Wilde, not open. He goes to Wagner, not open. He goes to read number 3, Elegon, not open. He's like, none of these 3 reads are open. They've dropped a bunch of guys. Pressure's coming. He gets out of the pocket to his left. His head's up the entire time. Elegon realizes he's keeping the play alive. Elegon looks back to the Northwestern sideline side and is like, I'm going to give my quarterback a chance and find open space here. And Stone just trusts his arm and feeds it all the way back across the field. You look at it and you're like, it's just pro reads. He goes read 1, 2, 3. I don't have him. Evades the pressure, head up, makes a big time play. And like this dude, he threw that touchdown pass to Wilde, the long bomb. He got rocked throwing that pass. He crashes to the ground, looks downfield for, I swear to God, a half a second, processes that Wilde's gone, and immediately jumps up and starts jawing at the guy that took him down. I'm just like, again, Stone feels like he's occupying a completely different headspace right now, and he was dealing in this.
And the moxie, when he pulled it down and ran a few times, which we had not seen. And you think about that swagger, and thinking about when he goes around to the near sideline and kind of scoots out of bounds backwards, just like, what you're gonna hit me? Let's go, come on, bud.
That is indicative, in just what you both have just described to me is indicative just how much more comfortable he is feeling, and how much more confident he's feeling. And there's one interesting thing that I want to call out from the broadcast, and another thing we've been hammering for like 4 weeks now. The broadcast talked, they clearly spent a good amount of time with Stone before the game in the week leading up, and were doing their absolute best to pump his tires. But one of the things they talked about is like, Stone likes to get his jersey dirty early in games. He feeds off of some of that physicality. And I don't mean getting, rocked up the middle by a blitzing linebacker, but like he went for, he had a 7-yard run on that first drive. You saw him moving in and out of the pocket. They continued to remark about how, he's not a running quarterback. This isn't what we saw at SMU, yada, yada. But you can see how how he feeds off of that. And we saw some of that against UCLA, and we saw more of it this past weekend. The other thing that I want to call out, and I don't want to get too haughty about this, but somewhere between before and after the Western Illinois game, we were unequivocal, particularly you, John, in that we needed to figure out who Stone was going to throw to and who he wanted to throw to. And our prescription was Hayden Elegon, Griffin Wilde, Drew Wagner, and Hunter Welsing.
Yep.
Yeah. How'd they do?
And those guys caught 16 of the 21 passes that Stone threw this past Saturday, or that he completed this past Saturday. They're the only players other than Joseph Hyman to catch more than one ball, and they are the starters. That's the other thing about this game that's so important, is that this game was all about not just showcasing the offense and emphasizing the offense and executing the offense effectively. It was with the guys that we want to see play 80% of the snaps every week against the Big Ten going forward. And when we talk coming off of week 1 against Tulane, coming off of week 2 against Western Illinois, figuring out what is going to work for Preston Stone, what is going to work for this offense, and how we can execute it and run it the way that it is meant to be run, to enable those route combinations, to get guys open, to be able to build off the running game, to be able to create space both horizontally and vertically. This is what it's supposed to look like. These are the guys. We said it 4 weeks ago, and here we are.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And not only that first group, but the rotation was there too. We talked about this in weeks past, that we were like, one of the great things about this whole roster is like it sets up really well for a rotation of all of the whole receiver core. Covey played a bunch in this game. Farrell played a bunch in this game. Ricky played a bunch in this game. They rotated in, and it wasn't like last week where it was like you're tipping your play by which like guys came in. Guys were rotating in a lot. And it was like you saw the dynamic rotation, you saw the play calling, and we threw a bunch right off the bat. And there was definitely that feeling where, again, like I had it right off of the second touchdown where I was just like, we're going to hammer this team on the ground. I was like, we haven't even done it yet. But like they were expecting, and this is the kind of thing you've talked about forever, Scuzz, you know that they were expecting this team knows that they can run block, and then they know that they've got a big power workhorse in Komolafe. They're just going to hammer the ball into the line on every play and try to grind the ball downfield. And again, by the time we went up 15-7, ULM was like, well, I guess we just have no idea what they're going to run. And then we just started to crush them. And look, like it wasn't there. Like, well, I would say two things. There were certainly issues with this game, and we'll get to those in a little bit. But there were certainly some times where we were in third and long yardage situations. Some of those were because of those issues, but other ones were because Lujan was just being like, I want Preston Stone throwing downfield. And you know what? If it's incomplete, that's not a loss because we need them to know we can do this. And it's like, yes, that's exactly what you should do. I want them scared we're going to go downfield on every play. And that's exactly what it was. I mean, that's the dynamic offense. And you had all those pieces fitting together. And Stone, I mean, that arm, man, one of the other plays, the other great Elegon play, well, I mean, where Elegon, who made a couple awesome catches in this game, the long bomb down the left sideline. First of all, Elegon, who this is his breakout game of his career, awesome stutter and go move.
Yeah,
the double moves. The double moves were something that you definitely clocked during this game as well. That were awesome to see.
It was to watch a big guy execute a double move. It's like an art because he's 6'4", and you watch him sell it just with a tiny hip drop and just be like, and just enough, and the corner just bites. And the thing is, it's like the corner was still there, but now he's chasing. And Stone had two guys in his face and didn't have time to set, and Stone's arm doesn't require him to need to set. And just that he can be like, I see my guy has an advantage now. I'm going to uncork one and give him a chance to make a big play. And that's exactly what he did. It's like, yes. And if that's always in the bag, you can do what you want.
And you talk about uncorking. And that was one thing we saw this weekend that we hadn't seen in a while was Stone going deep. And wasn't, I mean, he missed some for sure. The wind may have been affected of some, but after the first one, he went deep and missed. We looked at each other and said, you know what? I'm okay with that because we went deep. And he kept it up. And like getting that deep pass in there, putting that into the rotation and extending the defense, making sure that your safeties have to, honor the deep ball. That opens things up underneath. That opens things up for play action. That opens things up for draw plays where you've got, pushing the safeties back because the deep ball's in play. That opens things up. And that's something that we hadn't seen up to this point.
Yeah, it's totally. And just the way you can just see that Stone, you just feel his comfort in the offense now. He's like, I know where I'll put it. I know guys will make catches for me. I know who I can go downfield for. Like, you just realize, you go back to that Tulane game, and you like a quarterback and really an offense that was just guessing on what, like, being like, well, I don't know, I guess we'll see if this works, to like this, like, at least against ULM, this well-oiled machine that was just like, we are going to hit you with 5 different things. I will say we've talked about this before, and we obviously put a ton of work into watching film and researching and trying to be right, because we want to have this stuff figured out. We always said, like, we'd rather be wrong and have the team be good and have than
for sure
than be right and have it not work out. With all that said, we got a lot of messages this week about, man, were you guys right about Drew Wagner? And you know what?
I'll take it. I am interested in your guys' take on this, because Braun in his post-game press conference said, we've been expecting, like, anticipating this kind of production from Elegant and Wagner based on what we see from them in practice. And that, kind of implying, like, yeah, these are our guys. They just needed to put it together in a game, etc. I would argue that the evidence suggests otherwise. And like, I don't say this to like poke holes in David Braun or anything like that, but like, I think it underscores the point that you made, John, that like the relationship between the quarterback and the receivers was not well established in that first game of the year.
It takes time.
It has taken 5 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the 4 guys that you listed, the guys who caught those 16 balls in this game, basically none of those guys had Northwestern stats coming into this season. I mean, I don't know what the total numbers were. It would effectively be the 1 or 2 balls Elegant caught against Illinois.
Wagner's punt returns.
Right, Wagner's punt return. But in terms of, like, catching balls, right? I mean, like,
yeah,
this all had to get worked out.
Well, not to beat a dead horse, but if you're going to play the super conservative offense game in week 2 and not leverage the shit out of these guys to build those relationships and to build that game speed, muscle memory, and connection between these guys, then, like, yeah, it's never going to come together during the course of the year. So thank God we got there.
Yeah. In an interest of pivoting to the other phase of the offensive game, I want to clear out a little space, something we've talked about a little bit already in the pod, but it really deserves the full amount of oxygen. Not just what's going on with this offensive line, but what is going on with Jackson Carcello specifically. This is the best center in the Big Ten right now. This is Pro Football Focus's top-graded Big Ten center 3 games in a row.
2 games he played for Northwestern and 1 he played for Nebraska.
God. If there is any way to poke the Northwestern bear, it's to let Nebraska take something else from us besides NU. That was so annoying when they posted it as Nebraska, and it's because someone in some phase of the process saw NU next to it, and that's why Nebraska should be UNL. But we digress. We all know these things. But again, like, just for all of you who know the program, you know that Carcello's been part of this program. This is his 5th year in the program, and this is a guy who's always been in the mix in the offensive line. And there was a question of, is junior year going to be his year? And then it was Bailey came in, and Bailey got the start at center. And until Bailey got hurt and they made that switch mid-season, and then it was really bumpy. The Nebraska game was really bumpy, and the Ohio State game was really bumpy. And of course, like, the rest of that season did not go well for the Cats. And then there was that question of, okay, what's going to be the situation at center this year? Bailey, is Bailey's probably going to take his job back when he comes back? And then we were hearing in camp that it's like, no, you know what? Carcello won it. And we heard that from a bunch of people, and people were like, he just won the job. And then he came out and he has dominated this season. And just like, again, just to see a guy making the leap where all of a sudden you're like, is this the best center in the Big Ten? Is he going to be a pro? And And it's like, it's in the NIL era or something like that, to bring it back to like, this is a guy who's stayed 5 years at the same school, the same program, and has done nothing but work and get better the entire time. And now he's a 5th-year senior, and he's dominating every week and blowing holes in the middle of the line for Komolafe to run through. It's like, it's everything you want. It's everything as a Northwestern fan that just, makes your heart sing.
Well, it's some of it is this. I'm not suggesting it's all the scheme, but there is a new offensive scheme is not easy to learn, and it's especially hard to learn when you only have 7 offensive linemen the spring that this new guy comes in, which was 2 springs ago, and the depth that we had last year. There's just it's hard to pick up a new system and to operate effectively, and then when you kind of inexplicably, when the play calling is so up and down, so at the start of the next season, there's just been a lot of factors that have maybe masked the what has been a just ginormous leap by this O-line here in 2025. And we talked about it when we previewed the team in terms of the depth and how many different guys you had working now in this. I mean, we have a full 2 deep for the first time in a number of years. But I think what's more important is you can see the growth of some of those players, like popping off of your television screen. Carcillo being one of them. And I think what is particularly indicative of his growth is the learning and understanding of the system, because the duo that we talk about all the time is basically a combo block at the point of attack, doubling up 2 offensive linemen to open up a hole that the running back can get through. And Komolafe's health this year, his cutting ability, allows those runs to go, often, like, it allows him to get into the second level sometimes, get past the linebacker or whoever's coming to try to fill the hole. But the critical starting point is at the point of attack. And that just, Carcillo is not just performing well, he's
dominating
at the very focal point of this offense and how they attack. And I do think that a lot of credit goes to Evan Beardstein, who came over from SDSU, understanding this system and has helped infuse this offensive line. Those guys are often comboing together. But it is working extremely well. And I'll be honest, not to go too far backward, but you guys alluded to the very beginning of the game, and one of the things that jumped off the page, I think the first run that Komolafe had was a run to the outside. He got strung out for -4 yards, and it felt like, oh my God, are we going to do what we did against UCLA all over again, where we kind of inexplicably run to the outside and are attacking downhill? And no, that was not the case. We started just going straight at them behind Carcillo and those guards. And that is a very, very clear strength of our run blocking. And then we also have good tackles, and it's a solid offensive line for the first time in many, 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 many years. And it is I think there are some other factors that have masked just how massive of a leap that group has taken this year.
Oh yeah. I mean, we may have the best center and left tackle in the Big Ten, on the same offensive line. And you talked about the depth thing last year, and just how starved this team was for players and for depth across the offensive line. And then you fast forward to this year, where we're 5 games into the season, and we still have a right tackle conversation that really neither guy will lose. Martez Lewis is getting the majority of the snaps, because
Deuce
he's
got
just
a good amount of, I think he got the second quarter.
Oh, Deuce did get, but that's the thing. There's still, Martez is getting the majority, but Deuce is still getting a ton of snaps, and that's because Martez is an absolute monster of a human being who absolutely eats in the run blocking schemes here. But Deuce who's also enormous, is well-rounded, and again was kind of one of the revelations of camp, in terms of everyone was this guy's working his butt off and making a leap here. And it's just we go from a situation where we had, like Scott says, a point in time where we had 7 guys total, to now we have trying to squeeze 6 guys into 5 spots because 6 guys are playing well enough to start. It's just a totally different landscape. And again, it's just this massive point of stability where it's like to have an offensive line that is this dialed in it's just an absolute joy.
So we should talk backs about the running backs. We've mentioned Komolafe a little bit already tonight. Deshaun Reeder, what an emergence! I mean, like we saw him, bust open that play against Oregon, for the huge game. But we saw him in, action with the ones, and he looked really, really good as well. I mean, before we, get into Reeder a little bit, I do want to, bring up, where was Joseph Hyman? I think that was the one thing kind of missing was, where was Hyman in this game? But like Reeder looked fantastic.
I will say, so anytime, because this has been like a constant thing where we're like, Joe Hyman has been underutilized. We're all aware of this thing. If Joe Hyman is going to be underutilized, for the love of God, let it be like this, where I don't realize until I look at the box score later that I'm like, oh my gosh. And we have this other weapon that we didn't even fully unleash. And apparently, like Braun says, the first thing Lujan said to him after the game is like, I don't know how we didn't get Joe Hyman involved in the offense. I'm going to get him more involved in the offense. It's just like so many guys were involved and so many things were working. And I think for whatever reason, Hyman just wasn't one of the guys whose lottery ticket was cashed. If the offense keeps running like this and the system keeps running like this, he's going to get all kinds of opportunities. I don't know where it's going to be, but this was a very positive mentality offense. Komolafe, I really want to, I feel like we talked about him a ton with how good he looked when he was only averaging 3-point-something yards a carry. And then the past 2 games, he's been fantastic. And I feel like maybe we've talked about him a little bit less. He's been so awesome. The cutting, we've talked about this before, but since he's gotten healthy, the cutting is just fantastic. Even on the first run, his short touchdown run for the first touchdown, the cut he makes on that play is so awesome. And you're like, man, a guy who's that big, who's able to move like that. And then the speed that he showed, where as soon as he got, 5 yards past the line of scrimmage on that 3rd and 7,
Bye-bye.
you were like, he's gone. Because you were like, that ULM guy might close on him, but he's not going to take him down. And, he is in an absolute breakout moment and clearly is just a perfect fit for this offense, like a pound you behind this line kind of guy.
He really is. And the other piece of duo is not just the double teaming block at the point of attack, but then the running back is reading the linebackers and making the right cut, et cetera. And Komolafe is doing that exceptionally well. We were really struggling to understand his performance last year, and it was pretty clear to us that he looked nicked up and injured and not 100% back from the prior season. And he looks outstanding right now and is running with confidence, running with power, running with speed. I think, Cam was more of a straight power back, and I think had the power to take a defender with him those couple extra yards. That's not how Komolafe is making this happen. And Reeder, to me, is built in the mold of Komolafe. Similar skill set, similar balance type running back, similar, maybe even a little bit bigger on the body size. If there's anything holding Joseph Hyman back, it's that this running attack is not designed for a guy of his stature. And there are times where you've seen him very effective at sneaking through that hole up the middle. And I just think we have to be more intentional about figuring out how to get him the ball in, I'll say good route combinations. We got to leverage him in route combinations because he can create another stretch the defense in a horizontal way that most of our other players cannot. And I think when you stack that up with what you've got Wilde and Wagner and Elegon doing in the intermediate and over the top, it presents another dimension to this offense that we haven't found yet. We've just got to figure out how to make that happen, because we are going to need Joseph Hyman. He's one of the most electric playmakers on the team, and has been just underutilized. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm like, this is the one game where I'm like, Lujan, you get a pass on it this game.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm like,
agreed.
Everything else.
Well, and they threw to him a couple times. He got a screen pass that they
ran
catch.
On a fly route once. Yep.
Yes, there were a couple options. They're not doing the run Joseph Hyman to the sideline and have him stand there thing.
The play that I think, John, you demonstrated in the parking lot maybe 5 or 6 times before the game.
I can't. Yeah, the moonwalk into oblivion. Like, I can't handle that. But I mean, but again, we didn't see that. And the other thing with Reeder is,
he's
holy
quick.
Crap, is that guy fast? The straight line speed. Just watching it in person from like where we were in the north end zone, being like, this guy's like gliding. Like, it's like he's on like a moving walkway. His steps just seem to take him farther than everybody else, and he just flies. And then like you watch him and Wagner. Wagner had that one screen pass where he just like destroyed a couple of guys, where I was just like, he got it and was just like, you juking you out of your jock, juking you out of your jock, and you're just like, and just like, those guys, Hyman, and it's like, there's weapons here. And the thing I think we were pulling our hair out early on was like, we're not utilizing these weapons, and now it's like everyone's getting a taste, and it's fantastic. The other runner, you mentioned this earlier, Sammy, the other runner not to give short shrift to is Preston Stone. The big thing about that big carry for Stone is that was a design play. And it's awesome. It was just like a classic, like, yeah, they didn't see this coming. You caught them off guard. It was just a QB draw, and it was blocked super well, and Stone ran it super well and showed speed, some real speed, and got out in space. I mean, all dialed in. The last thing before as we've showered so many accolades on this offense, before we pivot to defense, we do have to acknowledge the one thing, and it's I don't know if it's quite an elephant in the room, but it's been a couple of games, and it's the negative. These illegal formation situations.
Yeah.
It's not just the penalties. We're burning timeouts over this too. Guys coming out not set right is a thing, and it's like, this is a major unforced error, and it's like, this is on the guys. I mean, it's a big thing. Like,
it's on the wide receivers.
You got to know where you're lined up. You got
to
you got to look in. You got to see, who's supposed to be on this line of scrimmage, who needs to be behind, who's covering the tackle, who's not. You got to know that.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, again, I think we're all of the point now where it's like, take it back to Oregon, take it back to a couple. Like, again, it's 12 straight quarters of this being clearly a good football team. And it's like, just coaches, players, you guys just get out of your own way, and you guys are going to take care of business. So this is like one of those last things that's like, close this loop. And that's the last thing holding this offense back.
So turning to the defense, if we're being honest, there isn't a whole lot to talk about specifically. They played great.
So I do want to harken back to something I said off the top, and that was this, this notion of like, they got punched in the mouth and how did they react? And I think, I certainly had that moment at the beginning where I was like, oh no, like this is going to be harder than anticipated, et cetera. But like, credit to those guys. They did not, and credit to the coaches, credit to McGarrigle. They did not panic. They did not overreact. They stayed very disciplined, and I think understood, like, ULM is not going to throw 7 flea flickers this game to beat us.
I mean, that worked because they just done nothing but run. And
we stayed disciplined on the run. We stayed focused on the run. We stayed focused on our keys, and didn't dramatically change what we were doing and shut them down over time and allowed guys like Oriadai to make plays, like Fitzgerald to make plays, Mac Uline to make plays. Like we stayed true to the game plan and the approach, and I thought that was very telling of the quiet confidence that this defense has and the quiet confidence that the coaching staff has on this side of the ball. And I thought, again, like, it's telling that we didn't play too much into that and try to win this game by one possession. But we also didn't go suddenly, give crazy amounts of cushion and super conservative and bend but don't break prevent defense either. We kept our focus and our attention and our game plan and went after them, and they did not score again.
Right. I think it's really clear ULM had a genius script for the first drive. They ran 6 running plays to 5 different players and then threw a flea flicker. And and you're like, they clearly had scripted the hell out of this, and it was great. But they had 41 yards rushing on their first 6 carries of the game, and then 46 yards the rest of the game on 24 more carries. They finished for 30 for 87, 2.9 yards a carry. That's with 41 yards on their opening drive. Basically, after the first drive of the game, they almost literally did not run the ball for the rest of the game. They almost literally gained no yards the rest of the game. That's the good news.
25, 20, call it 27 carries for 100 yards after you take out sack yardage, but yes, that all tracks.
And then so I mean, in terms of like the good thing, like the good stuff, the front seven. I mean, if you put Robert Fitzgerald into that group, I mean, they're just dominating against the run. The line was good. Again, there was that weird thing where at first we were like, oh man, they're really getting sideline to sideline on us, and it's like, no, they just have like a really great script. And after that, you remember that like Braden Bruss and Robert Fitzgerald are the guys who did exponentially better against Nico Iamaleava than Penn State did 1 week later.
We'll get to that game.
We'll get these guys got sideline to sideline and they shut it down. The other thing too is like fatality. It's like, it's funny, like maybe like some people started sleeping on this pass rush because it played Oregon and maybe Heisman Trophy winner Dante Moore 1 week and then played Nico Iamaleava like the human wrecking ball the next week. They were dominant in this game. 3 sacks, but they were getting in there. Saka had another one. That's 2 sacks in a row in games for him now. Hubbard absolutely blew a play up on which he did not get a sack, and he had a sack. But late in that game, I think maybe it was in the third quarter, and maybe the fourth quarter, I think it was Haggerty and Kilbane each ended up picking up a half a sack on the play. But that was that just pure fatality lineup of Saka, Hubbard, Kilbane, and Haggerty. Hubbard's in there 2 seconds into the play. I mean, he just splits the tackle and the guard, and the play's dead almost immediately. And it's like, this is what the front seven was delivering. The big thing, and this is the piece, this is the thing we're gonna have to wrinkle out, because you can look and you can be like, Fitzgerald and Garner Wallace are both these massive, huge assets on top of the awesome defensive line and linebackers that you have against the run, because they both, like we've talked about Fitzgerald, like Wallace is an absolute, like Wallace is like I don't know how big he is, 6'3", 6'4", and huge. He's basically another linebacker. He hits like a truck too. These guys are really strong. Over the past 2 games, though, the safeties have gotten beaten over the top for all of the touchdowns we've given up. It's all of the touchdowns, and I mean both of the touchdowns. It's 2 touchdowns, but it was both of the big pass plays in this game. And it wasn't one safety in particular. It was like the safeties and in all the situations. It's coverage breakdowns and guys getting over the top. And the funny thing is, if you go back to the UCLA game, and the long pass, the 30-yarder they had for their touchdown in the fourth quarter, and then you go to this game, and you have the flea flicker, And then you have their 38-yard play, the last big play they had of the game on their second drive. It's the same problem, but 3 different causes. And it's basically like on the UCLA play, they ran a multiple route tree and they ran like a hook or like an in at 10 yards, and our safety took the hook guy and let the 9 route guy get over the top of him. On the flea flicker, bought into the run and red run, let a guy get over the top of him on a 9 route. And then on that 38-yard play, it was a play where one safety had man and we were bringing pressure. So we were effectively giving up the open slant, but the idea being the other safety will effectively cover that up. And then the other safety bit run on the play, and they were able to run a slant right underneath and and get past again. This is an issue. Guys getting over the top of our safeties that's the last hole. That's what teams right now are looking, being like, man, it is hard to get past this front 6 unit and it's hard to deal with this pass rush, but we think we can maybe get over the top on this team. That's the last piece. That's the piece that we're going to have to figure out.
I do want to say, absolutely gutted for Giannis Karlaftis. He went out, and it sounded like in the press conference today, it sure sounded like he's done for the year, which is just a gut. I mean, it sucks for the guy. I mean,
it really does. It's such a bummer, and also too because I think this is probably something not a lot of Northwestern fans are looking at, because he's not starting and because we don't play 3 linebackers a lot. Anytime he was on the field, he was really good. We were using him when teams would come out in heavy formations and we would put a 3rd linebacker on the field, and he was just everything we thought he'd be, super strong and super effective. And that was clearly what they were going to try to do with him in this game. And then, to see that happen it's a super bummer. And you hope that, I don't know if he still has, eligibility and, how this works vis-a-vis. I mean, he basically played 1 play of his 5th game. I mean, so you hope, if there's a way to preserve eligibility for him, or if he's, headed on to the next phase. But that was a real bummer, and all the best to him.
Anything else to mention about this game before we turn our attention both west and east?
I just think it's important. Like, look, the next game's a lot harder. It's a road game. It's against a team that is reeling, but is talent laden. But this formula of what we did on defense, stop the run, force you to throw, and what we did on offense of attack with our run and attack with our passing game and be balanced, etc. Like, there are at least 3 more teams on our schedule, 4 more teams on our schedule with a gettable defense.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
And so the hope for this season is very alive.
Yeah, for sure. The last thing I'll mention, just relative to special teams, we talked about the situation with the field goal block last week. Clearly they fixed that. I think the whole situation, like snapping the ball and everything, was like a totally different cadence. Milkman went 2 for 2 on field goals. Not only that, they came out with this goofy formation that they showed after every extra point, and then ran it. Saw a look that they liked. I mean, you always talk about those situations where you're like, oh, is a team ever actually going to use this? And we totally did, and we ran it. And scored 2 points and went up 15 when we thought we were going to go up 14. So special teams clearly took a
just a note, we didn't run it after that again. Like we didn't line up in the hoodoo. It was
you're right.
Just run it once, see what look for it, motion back into the regular, and then do it again. And they didn't adjust whatever it was, and it's like, all right, cool, you're going to give it to us, great, let's go.
Yep.
If you or a loved one is seriously injured by someone else's negligence, hire Kent Simpson of the Simpson Law Group. After over a decade prosecuting murder cases in Chicago, Simpson opened his own firm focused on wrongful death and personal injury cases. He specializes in car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and other transportation accidents, as well as construction accidents, medical negligence, slip and falls, product liability, and more. Millions recovered for clients, no fee unless he wins. The Simpson Law Group, compassion, empathy, and vigorous advocacy. Go to simpsonlawgroup.com or call 312-332-2107 for a free consultation. And go Cats. So let's now look ahead to next week's game.
we were let's keep it a buck. I think a lot of us, I am gonna cop to this myself, and probably a lot of Northwestern. When you say look ahead, Sam, a lot of you are probably looking ahead to Purdue, or you were looking ahead to Purdue, but you're not
So
anymore.
throughout
Next weekend's some. I mean, like, don't look ahead next weekend.
This
folks.
is all of a sudden
There's meat
real
on the
interesting.
bone.
Really interesting. So,
Yes, it is.
obviously Penn State loses 2 weeks ago to Oregon in overtime, in a, haymakers back and forth. Then we're sitting there, they're playing UCLA the same time as we're playing. And down the stretch, while our second and third string guys are in, pretty much any stoppage time, they popped the UCLA Penn State game up on the Jumbotron. So we're, looking at our phones and, seeing the score. It's like, hey, wait, time out. What is going on? And then, they pop it up there at the end for us to watch UCLA. Yes, UCLA. The for UCLA, who had just had fired their head coach and defensive coordinator. And then after our game, they fired the offensive coordinator as well. Jerry Neuheisel. Yeah, Rick Neuheisel's son. Never called a play in his life. He's now their new interim offensive coordinator. And they have their way with Penn State. Sure, Penn State had to travel cross country. There's all sorts of excuses that you can give. But at the end of the day, UCLA, who got curb stomped by New Mexico the last time
who got physically dominated by us.
Yep.
They went out and they beat Penn State. Like,
it's
the coaching changed, the players didn't.
So
yeah,
can I talk
please.
about that coaching change real quick? So before we played UCLA, and some of this was on the pod, and some of this was just like me, asking John in anxious tones, like, who is their new defensive coordinator? Who is their new this? Who is their new that? Because, the thing that has happened in Northwestern many times is Team X is horrible, and before they come play Northwestern, they fire some dudes or they bring somebody new in, and then
Everything
the team is
changes,
reborn.
right?
And that happened the week after we played UCLA, and I could not be happier. So Tino Sunseri, their offensive coordinator, was, mutually just agreed to part ways, was let go, whatever you want to call it, on Tuesday of this past week. And then Jerry Neuheisel said, for those who don't know, Rick Neuheisel, longtime coach in college, was at Washington forever.
He was at Colorado. He was at Washington. He went to UCLA. He coached at UCLA. His son, Jerry, went to UCLA. Played quarterback for UCLA, was carried off the field after a big UCLA win at one point in his playing career.
Right. But said before, said he only had 2 days to work with the offense to prepare this game plan for Penn State. And to call this an incredible upset, a Cinderella story, whatever you want to call it, is just unbelievable how this played out. Right.
I think the other piece of it relative to them too is this is very vindicating for us from a Nico Iamaleava perspective, because in the run up to our UCLA game, we said in the pod that would be look, people love to give this guy crap. He looks awesome on tape. He's the best thing this team has by far going for it. And then one of the things we talked about it on Twitter today, if you watch the Penn State game, and this is wild because it's undisputable that Jim Knowles has the best defensive coordinator resume in the country, and going into this season could easily claim to be the best in the business. Tim McGarrigle just had a better game plan to deal with Nico than Penn State did. Penn State just trusted their athleticism and sold out on the blitz, thinking that they would just get to him, and they didn't. This guy is slippery. Sam talked about it last week. Slippery is the word. He gets out of stuff. You can't get him. You better not bring 7, because what if you don't get him and he gets out of it? And he crushed them on this all game. They would go for him. They would send too many guys. They wouldn't get to him, and then he would take off and get upfield. We brought four. Yeah.
16 carries for 130 yards and 3 TDs against UCLA.
Yeah.
He ran 14 times against us. He was UCLA's leading ball carrier. So, like, what John is saying is not just borne out in the tape. It is borne out in the stats. 14 carries for 65 yards against us.
Right.
We very specifically designed the defense to hold Nico in check, and UCLA and Penn State did not.
Right. Penn State was just like, we'll just get to him. And it's like, no, you won't. Like, he's gonna get out of it. That was the thing. Like, I think McGarrigle very much was like, we're gonna rush 4 the whole game. And we're gonna have like Fitzgerald and Brusser and Uline are gonna be keeping an eye on this guy at all times. If he decides to go, we're gonna lock him down. We're gonna very much try to get him to play within their offense. And UCLA was just like, yeah, like selling out. But that was a big part of it. The other part of it, though, too, and this is, I know because this is where we're going, is like the giant Penn State piece of this. UCLA won by 5. This game was only that close because Penn State blocked a punt and took it in for a touchdown. UCLA won almost every phase of this game. They outgained Penn State by 90 yards. They outran them by 130 yards. They had better third down efficiency.
More importantly, they took a page out of the 2023 Minnesota playbook, Time Lords,
and just dominated. Right, they doubled them up on time of possession. They had less turnovers. They had less penalties. They averaged more yards per carry. Like, UCLA was thoroughly the better team in this game, and. Like, again, like, yeah, you could talk about body clocks or cross-country travel or whatever, but this is the massive piece that factors into our game and factors into this trip is Penn State fans were halfway down the well when this team was 3-0. And, like, we were making jokes about it weeks ago on the pod. Like, the gnashing of teeth being like, we've played 3 really bad teams and we won, but how good did we really look? And now this is a fan base and a team that thought they would be playing in the national title game. And they're watching it evaporate before their eyes. And like we are playing a team that is psychologically like headed into a dark place right now, and we have a chance to massively capitalize on
and
that.
above all that,
So
there's a very real chance that, you know, after losing both, you know, you lose to Oregon, you go out to UCLA, all of a sudden your playoff dreams are on the bubble. There's all sorts of talk swirling around James Franklin. Like, you know, is it
100%?
If the team now sees their goals have evaporated, are they checked out? I don't know. I know.
So here's the thing: is that that can happen in week 2 at Virginia Tech. That can happen in week 3 at North Carolina when things are so far off the rails. We've seen the playoff changes the dynamics. If this was, you know, the 4-team BCS, Penn State would, yes, be effectively eliminated, and whether or not I think it would be a legitimate question to ask whether or not they would come together to fight back. But this is a team going back home to a place that is, you know, they view it as their own little corner of heaven. They're going to be hopping mad. I think any talk about this team crumbling mentally is selling ourselves a bill of optimism that is just not real. What is real is that Penn State lost their best linebacker, Tony Rojas, before this game. And that was a massive factor in UCLA's ability to run the ball straight down their throat. Guess what our offense is predicated upon?
Sure.
So I reject the Penn State is falling apart and yada yada yada, but the idea that we cannot be a force and a factor in this game because our running attack going straight at them is exactly what UCLA did. Now we don't have the QB to run for 130 yards, but Nico did, but that we don't need that. The other piece, Drew Aller has never been an exceptional passer. His best and only target plays for the Indianapolis Colts now. And Penn State, unlike Northwestern, has failed to establish effective wide receivers and an effective passing game in 2025. And our offense is going to do what we did against UCLA. We are going to rush 4. We're going to make sure that we keep those running backs in front of us. And we're going to see if our talented secondary can hang with Kyron Hudson and some of the other guys that Penn State has in their receiver core, who are not terrible players, but like, this is not a thing that Penn State has done well against any team yet this year.
Here's my
let's go.
Here's one of my counters to the thing you were saying before, Scuzz. And I get it's good to have someone here be like a pump the brakes kind of guy. Here's the thing. Penn State may not be a particularly great football team.
They might not, but to suggest that they're mentally
let me adjust
know.
that as well. Maybe the players not so much, but you're telling me there aren't going to be 105,000 fans in there with their sphincters so tight they'll create diamonds in 5 minutes.
There's that piece of it. Two things. One, on a schedule, Penn State's schedule, believe it or not, folks, to this point has been easier than our schedule. Penn State played 3 cupcakes and then has lost 2 football games since that point. And on that schedule, Penn State and Northwestern are the 11th and 12th offenses in total yardage in the conference. We're separated by 8 yards a game. We're the 9th and 10th total defenses in the conference, separated by 6 yards a game. Like, this is like Penn State, like, we heaped plaudits on this team. Like, for example, I heaped plaudits on this defense in the offseason, but so much of it was based on, well, they lost all these guys, but they still have denied Dennis Sutton. And to Scuzz's point, they still have Tony Rojas, and they're bringing in Jim Knowles. And it's Penn State. They always develop a ton of guys. And it's like, well, where are those guys? Because right now, this is the worst Jim Knowles defense in years.
This defense looked awesome in 4 quarters against Oregon.
They did. And that's the thing. Like, they still have the talent. I mean, Dennis Sutton is like awesome. Like, they still, like, there is still talent here for sure. But again, it's like you look and you're like, they didn't have, you just look at the performance Nico put up against them, and you look at the performance and be like, if you're looking at that and be like, well, it sure feels like our defense matches up with their defense. Well, maybe they do. The other thing, though, and this is the big piece, is, and Sam talked about this, is that 105,000 or whatever they've got in that stadium, they are going to put on a brave face, and they are going to bring thunder and fury at the start of this game. But I almost look at it from Northwestern's standpoint as like, don't look at it like you've got to win the game. You got to win the first quarter. Because if you win the first quarter, it is going to start to get toxic in that building. They are the reference point that I think of, and this is the kind of thing, is a lot of you, if you're not soccer fans, 2014 Brazil versus Germany in the World Cup. Brazil's playing at home in front of 100,000 people. Their expectation the entire way has been that they are going to win the World Cup. And the team is shouldering that pressure in front of 100,000 fans and their whole nation watching on TV. And they get into that game, and all of a sudden in the 11th minute, Germany scores a goal. And suddenly, to Sam's point, all of the sphincters in the stadium tighten immediately. And then Germany scores in the 23rd minute. And when Germany scores in the 23rd minute, suddenly everyone in the stadium, on the field for Brazil and in the stands for Brazil, realize that their dreams are imploding. And the second that happens, Germany scores 3 more goals in the next 10 minutes. That's the kind of like nightmare. I want to watch these people climb inside their own nightmare in the middle of this game. I want to see, I know they only do it for the whiteout, but in my view, I'm like, they come out with Mo Bamba at the opening snaps, and it's like, we're like, throwing our full fury at them, and then it's like 7-0 Northwestern after one quarter, and then they're like, oh my God, is this the last game of the James Franklin era? Do our dreams die right here? I'm like, and again, to Scuzz's point, like, this is a team that is still loaded with talent. They may get it back together. They are coming back at home. They may be out for blood, etc. But I'm just like, this, like, when we were down 7-0 to ULM, these were not conversations I was expecting to be having. But now all of a sudden, we're playing our best football of the year. They are a team in some sort of existential crisis right now. And you start, like, I think there's some alchemy in there.
Here's another thing, though. We're playing with house money here. Like, everyone expects us to go there and lose.
Yeah, if we lose this game, we move right on to Purdue. Yeah.
Even before the season, the three of us all figured, chalk this one up as a loss. Because, you go to Penn State, that's a hard place to play. 100%. We're playing with house money. We can pull out all the stops, and maybe we go in there and maybe we get curb stomped. That's entirely on the table, for sure. And
it is on the table, yes. And I think it's really important for us to acknowledge that, the nature of this game has changed tremendously from 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And to John's point, like, Penn State and Northwestern have played this exact same Big Ten opponents to date. They're 0-2, we're 1-1. And the next hardest team that either team has played by a country mile is Tulane.
Tulane, right.
So, like, this and the scenario of I mean, we've seen that tightness show up a million times.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interestingly, the ULM, like, punch them in the mouth with a really excellent opening drive script is kind of exactly what we need in this game to hopefully set some of those dominoes in motion. But I just, like, for Northwestern to go in, I like, we are going into a winnable game. It is not a game I am expecting us to win or that we should be favored.
We're 21 and a half point dogs. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Which, again, I love. Spread that on for
21 and a half. Hoo-wah.
Yeah.
They're definitely anticipating some Penn State retribution in this game. Well, I guess, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But I love this position for us because often in these moments, I think some of the chips can fall a little too heavily on Northwestern, and the fact that nobody's giving us a shot, I kind of love it.
Oh yeah, I just think it's like anyone who went into the big house right after App State, right? It's like it went from like this thing to being like, oh, now we're gonna try to make these 100,000 people cry. It's like that's the mentality. I want to go in and be like, right, there's nothing but opportunity here for these guys. And Scuzz's point about the wide receivers too is great. Like right now, you're like misreading deep balls and letting teams get over the top is our issue right now. But they're playing awesome against the run right now, and the pass rush is pretty good. And Penn State is a team, as we know, loaded with talent, with two awesome running backs, and a very talented offensive line who are just like not together right now. Like
Penn State's receivers with double-digit receptions are averaging 11.6, 10.9, and 10.9 yards per catch.
Yeah, it's not coming together for them. And I mean, of course, this is like part of the reason they are where they are right now. But yeah, I mean, you do have to remember it's like Penn State blocked a punt against UCLA because they're loaded with talent. They got talent coming out of their gills, right? They've got crazy athletes on the field, et cetera. And it's like you can't be illegal formation penalties. You know, you can't be burning timeouts. It can't be like random false starts, and you can't blow assignments on special teams and stuff like that. Like again, you'll lose against Penn State 100%. 10 times out of 10 if you do stuff like that. But if we play clean football and put this out, at the very least, we could put the fear of God into them, and that alone would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's all like Saturday just got a lot more interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what else I can say. It got like again, everything's on the well. Here's what I see is on the table. We get curb stomped. We play tight and they win. We play tight and we win. The end.
Yeah. I'm like,
I
right.
don't see us blowing them out. That's just not like.
That's probably not. I mean,
Yeah.
unless we see another quantum step forward in our offense. But
yeah. I just remember coming out of Western Illinois, we were like, well, that was nice to get a get-right game against a horrible FCS team. We still have so many things that need to get fixed on this ship. But Oregon's here now, and we don't have time to fix them before Oregon. And then to be at this place where we're like, let's go. Like, we all see it. We all see all the pieces. Let's see what they can do against Penn State.
For sure.
Hell yeah.
Let's look around kind of the rest of the conference from this past week. Obviously we talked at great length about the Penn State UCLA game. You had Ohio State just taking it to Minnesota, 42-3. They're good. They're just good. They're really good.
So Minnesota had a great scripted opening drive. Was running the ball, passing the ball, mixing it in. Got down to, I want to say the 7-yard line, the 5-yard line. Basically got within the 10. Got stopped, kicked a field goal, and then did not score again.
Yep. I think this was Ohio State's best game of the year. I mean, with all due respect to Texas, but I mean, I think, come on. It's like we all see what Texas is now. They put it on them. But if you're like, look, obviously as a Northwestern fan, one of your biggest goals this entire like stretch so far has been like, you want to feel like we're reeling a Minnesota in. And that's what this feels like right now. It feels like the gap between us and them has closed to the point where, like, with us at home at Wrigley, like, where we like what we can do in that game against them. And, like, there's a chance for a big win there for us. Like, that's what's happening here.
I'd like to amend my earlier statement because it wasn't just, I mean, they didn't even cross midfield until midway through the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
After that first drive, holy moly! And only once there's one. They had a missed field goal from the Ohio State 23, and it's the one drive in the middle of the fourth quarter, aided by an unsportsmanlike penalty, that they crossed midfield. Holy, and if you listen to any other college football podcast, everyone is talking about this Ohio State defense is just
ludicrous.
Preposterously good. Good.
Yeah. Caleb Downs leading the show, and they have another player's name's escaping me right now, linebacker, who everyone says is just like unreal breakout player. But man, that Ohio State-Oregon Big Ten championship game is sure going to be something when we see it. Like,
is that Sonny Styles, John?
It's not Styles. It was somebody else. I can look it up.
Igbinosun?
No, he's the corner. I'm blanking on it right now, but it's one of their breakout players.
Yeah.
But again, and then of course they have Downs like captaining the whole ship, and they're
they're
ludicrous. Awesome. They're awesome.
Michigan, they're 4-1. They're 2-0 in the conference. Wisconsin is bad.
Wisconsin's done.
Yeah. This is the thing is Wisconsin managed to get a touchdown early in this game, and then Michigan was playing kind of just sluggish and being like not putting them away, and everyone was kind of looking and being like, there's like, it was the situation where like, oh man, like Michigan's only up 10-7, they're only up 17-7, and then you realize Wisconsin's never getting into the end zone again in this game. You could have added 3 more quarters. It was there. That just was not happening. Like, this is a team, they 2.7 yards a carry. They had 75 rush yards in this game. Like, they were not going to do anything offensively here.
So they had that 12-play touchdown, and then 6-play punt, 3 and out, 5-play punt, 3 and out, 4-play punt, 3 and out, 3 and out, interception, 3 and out, and the interception was on third down, I might add, and then field goal in garbage time. This score does not reflect how much of a domination this was of the Badgers.
Right. Illinois 43, Purdue 27. Yeah.
It's that Illinois defense. Ooh,
yeah. But I mean, and like with Purdue, again, we know we have them 2 weeks away. Like the story remains the same here. It's Purdue can throw, and they're not good most other places. You can look at Purdue's rush yards. That's because Illinois sucks on defense. Like we've been pretty clear about this point the entire time. This game was an absolute track meet, but Purdue can throw. That's a thing. Like they still can throw. They've got good guys. Michael Jackson the third went off in that game for them. They have good receivers. Jackson, Nitro Tuggle. That's going to be the thing. When we play Purdue, we're a better team, but they can really throw the ball.
Man, it's so interesting how Devin Mockabee is just not the engine for their team anymore. I mean, Ryan Brown had 50 attempts. To his credit, 50 attempts, no picks. On the other side, Altmaier was like completed 19 of 22 passes for 390 and a TD. He looks really good again. But this Purdue team like doesn't get pressure. They don't get turnovers. And I mean, I would love to play track meet football with Illinois Thanksgiving weekend. I think that would be great.
Sure.
This one surprised me a little bit because we're sitting there watching, Maryland is up 20-3, right? And like they're taking it to Washington.
Yeah.
And when I got home and saw that Maryland had blown it, that floored me. What happened?
3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. They flipped the script on it just on the game, but kind of on like the Maryland narrative because all the pieces were falling into place. This ascendant Maryland team chalks another big win, and then instead they just kind of like fold it in, which it's like kind of a big win for Washington, but also a kind of a little bit of a reality check for Maryland. Be like, well, you're not all the way there yet.
Yeah.
With all your great young guys, but I mean, this game felt like both of these teams are pretty good teams, and they're both 4-1 right now. They're both probably going to do some stuff.
Geez, Maryland was up 20 zip.
Yep.
And then Washington scored on their next 4 drives, and Maryland went 3 and out, 6 and out, and then turnover on downs, trying to gear the engine back up at the end of the game. And like this is like your classic young team doesn't know how to win yet, and man, it sucks because we all thought the Terps were gonna pull off a big win here. This would have been absolutely massive for Loxley. They still covered. What was it, 6.5 points? So better than expected in many ways, but oofta.
And then Nebraska beats Michigan State 38-27.
This is I didn't watch this game. How the hell Nebraska got to 38 points in this game? Did they have like 3 pick sixes or something?
They had one blocked punt.
They had a blocked punt. The Huskers in this game, Scuzz has been very clear from the very summer that this team sucks at running. Michigan State does not have a good run defense. The Huskers had 88 rush yards on 27 attempts, 3.3 a carry. They had 282 total yards. They were 5 of 13 on third down, 0 of 2 on fourth down. They scored 38 points in this game.
So Aiden Childs, did he get hurt or did he get benched?
Well, he may have got bent. He was
not
horrible
good
in this game.
He was
Nebraska caught
very
a bad
bad.
Childs game. Yeah.
Yeah, he was very bad, and Michigan State couldn't really run. Both teams looked, somewhat anemic, and that Nebraska's overall stats don't look good, but Emmett Johnson looked pretty good. 13 carries for 83 yards and 3 TDs. He also caught 6 balls for 37 yards. So they were doing some stuff, but this offense remains stuck in first gear,
right?
Even though they scored 38 points,
right? And very much Michigan State's a bad defensive football team. They're like, this is not a good football team. They're just a fun football team with like a really fun quarterback, but they got a really bad game from their fun quarterback here. But yeah, I mean, it's like this is that thing. I feel like we're reeling Nebraska in. I feel like we're reeling Minnesota in, and that's exactly where we want to be.
Looking outside the conference, again, I didn't see any of this, but Miami was up so big on Florida State. Florida State came back with 19 points in the fourth quarter, but Miami holds on. When I saw that game last, like Miami was running away. What happened in the fourth quarter?
What does the prevent defense
victory.
do, boys?
Yeah, I guess so. Prevents you from winning. I mean,
all it prevents is punts.
Yeah, and again, I'm like, it got ugly at the end, but yeah, Miami is still they're still your number 3 team. I mean, I think right now you'd be a fool in this country like to not rubber stamp Ohio State / Oregon as the best 2 teams in the country, but this was a huge win for Miami. I mean, this is a team that, you know, they're doing everything that they need to do so far. And Florida State, you know, this is kind of a big tumble for them here. Like they were right at the top, and you know they fought back here, and maybe they'll continue to rally, but I don't think they're quite back.
Miami absolutely dominated them physically on both sides of the ball until the start of the fourth quarter, and then they parked the bus. And if you park the bus in this day and age in college football, you are gonna get screwed.
Yep. And
they almost got screwed.
Florida beats Texas. I mean,
here's the crazy thing about this game. The crazy thing about this game is that Texas was 9th coming into this game. That's what's ridiculous.
And Penn State was
game.
7th going into the UCLA game.
Yeah, I mean, Texas has some stuff on defense. They have nothing. I mean, they're a hot mess on offense.
I forgot to mention this during the Penn State thing. The last time a winless team beat a top 15 team with at least 4 wins or 4 losses or more. The last time that happened was 1985.
Wow. Yeah.
But the last time an unranked team beat a dramatically overrated Texas team in a big game was not long ago.
True.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I mean, Texas couldn't run the ball at all in this game, and Lagway was able to do stuff against their defense. And Lagway is a guy who has had some rough moments this season so far. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, I feel like everyone just crazy whiffed on this Texas team for one very specific reason. They all got stars in their eyes with Arch Manning, the other skill players and the defense, and forgot that this offensive line completely turned over. Texas has been unable to run the ball all year. They don't have the right protection for Manning, who looks like just a total mess, and a guy who's not good at playing quarterback right now. I mean, he looks legitimately bad in the way he's throwing, his footwork, his reads are out to lunch. It's a complete collapse. This is the team that I think mentally falls apart in the weeks to come. If not, I think they're playing Oklahoma.
Oh, is it the Red River rivalry?
Venables is going to have a field day. Yeah. He's gonna take Manning apart piece by piece, and it's not even going to be difficult. So, Lord Almighty, Texas and Penn State were the top, were 1 and 2,
right,
in the country coming into the season. I think they're both unranked now.
Yep, they are. And we briefly, I know we talked a country mile about Penn State, but I think ESPN FPI right now has Penn State going 7-5. They still have to play Ohio State and Indiana this season, and so yeah.
Vandy, Alabama, that was close, at least in the first half. Alabama kind of ran away from it late. I mean, we talked about zombie Alabama, right? They just kind of kept going and going.
This loss didn't make me feel any worse about Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's still a really good team. Alabama's just kind of got it together. That's 2 big wins in a row for them. Georgia and Vandy's legit.
Ty Simpson's legit.
Yeah.
That dude is, assuming that Alabama continues to out recruit or operate at the level that they should, I'll say. They're going to win a national championship with Ty Simpson sometime in the next 3 or 4 years. When they're cooking, assuming that guy stays there for the next 2 or 3 years. You had another pass to Caden Proctor, left tackle, in this game. I think they have figured some stuff out there, and we were all a little too quick to leave them for dead.
Texas Tech looks really good. I mean,
they're awesome. They went back to Baron Morton had been out, and Will Hammond had been really good for them in their last game, and then they went back to Morton. I think a lot of people would have expected them to stay with Hammond with how well he played in their last game, but they went back to Morton, and Morton was awesome, and they cooked Houston. Texas Tech's really good. They're really good on defense.
Shout outs to Cincinnati for knocking off Iowa State.
Hell yeah.
Go Bearcats.
Yeah.
This was a haymaker game. These two teams were just slugging each other all game long, and then, Cincinnati put this game away. Well, I guess they didn't quite even put it away, but they stopped Iowa State in deep in the fourth quarter, deep in their own territory on a 4th and 1, and then talk about not turtle shelling. Sorsby uncorks an 82-yard touchdown to Caleb Goody, to put them up 38-22. Iowa State gets another score, but I suggested that the Cincinnati team wasn't going to be very good this year. They look quite competent. Former QB Evan Pryor is running the ball with great effect for them, and their defense. Iowa State's a tough nut to crack defensively. So we'll see how this plays out for them going forward. But they look good. They might be in the driver's seat in the Big 12 after Texas Tech. I don't know if the two play each other or not. Do they control their own destiny? They don't play Texas Tech. So they might Cincinnati, Texas Tech, Big 12 championship game.
Ooh, that could be
in
fun.
order.
Notre Dame looks good. Boise State ain't it. Not this year.
Nope.
Is Virginia now all of a sudden the number 3 team in the ACC?
I don't know. I don't know that they really have it in the long run here, but I love they're an academically prestigious school on a magical run right now, and I always kind of have a soft spot in my heart for a school like that. They just had a great 8 days to beat Florida State in that way, and then to have that overtime game against Louisville. They're living a charmed life right now. Good for them.
Scuzz, you got anything to say about Clemson, North Carolina?
Damn. Bill, I was not rooting for Clemson in this game, but this was a can't lose game for me because, as you all well know, I really can't stand Clemson. And then I have just thought from the word go, this Bill Belichick experience was a disaster on wheels. And it might be worse than that. It's a total train wreck. Now, what happens here? Who knows? Maybe there's a talk track around, hey, it's a train wreck this year, but it's going to get better. But week to week, we're not seeing any improvement.
It looks like they're regressing, honestly.
Yeah, this season is a throwaway for sure. And then he's going to have to decide what he wants to do, I guess.
Well, I think the challenge is it was not billed as a throwaway.
Right.
It was billed as, they brought in a ton of talent and hey, we're going to operate like an NFL franchise. We're going to do all this stuff. And yes, there might be some it takes a minute, sea legs types things, but this was billed as Deion Sanders 2.0. he was supposed to come in right away. And the difference is that Deion Sanders was a very successful college football coach before he showed up in Colorado. And yes, jumping levels is a big deal, but like Belichick just seems so out of his depth.
Well, now it's like you're looking at a full rebuild in the NIL era, and it's like you want like a 73-year-old guy with a 24-year-old girlfriend, like in charge of your full rebuild. Like, I mean, that's, is that really what he's signing up for here?
How charismatic is Steve? I think that's the big question in my mind.
Yeah.
Any other games last week that kind of stick out to you guys that bear mention?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So turning our attention ahead to this weekend's game, we got one game on Friday evening. It is Rutgers traveling to the West Coast to take on Washington.
I don't like this for Rutgers.
Nope. Usually you want Washington on the East Coast.
Yeah. I mean, Maryland notwithstanding, but yeah. Big noon Saturday, Ohio State at Illinois.
Interessante. So I think the huge question to me here is how does Altmaier look relative to the IU game? I think Illinois is going to get thumped. They don't have a defense that can hold a candle to Ohio State. They can't cover these receivers. They can't stop this offense, in my opinion. It's at Illinois, and I think they're going to be real feisty in the first quarter. Can Altmaier do anything against this Ohio State defense when he could do nothing against Indiana is the big question for me. And if they've learned anything or progressed in any way with the scheme, the approach, his preparation, etc., that'll be very telling to me.
Want to guess the line on that?
Yeah, I'm looking at it, so 40? I'm like there. No,
14 and a half.
14 and a half, and I mean, I'd take Ohio State on that line. I think there's a good chance Ohio State's going to be all over them. I mean, I think the Indiana game is the perfect model for this, and I think Scuzz has mapped it out perfectly. If you stone Illinois' running game, which Ohio State can absolutely do.
But by the way, Darius Taylor was healthy for that Minnesota game and did nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Right. I mean, the Ohio State they are utterly dominant on defense right now. They're as good as Indiana is. Ohio State's better probably. And then I think Illinois that sabotages the whole thing for Illinois. And Illinois' defense is bad. And Ohio State is going to be all over them.
Also at 11 o'clock, this game on Big Ten Network, you got UCLA hitting the road, going to Michigan State.
Can they do it again?
Or are they going to get? I mean, this is an 11 o'clock start. They're going to get body clocked. This is a 9 a.m. feel for them.
Yeah, a big letdown.
Sparty is like either half-point favorite.
That's amazing.
Oh, wow, that's wild.
That's amazing. I mean, Childs gets a bounce back game, or UCLA keeps going. Either way, it's fun.
The other huge game of the weekend. CBS.
It's a real heater this weekend, boys.
Yeah, Lord
Indiana at Oregon. Oregon is a 7.5 point home favorite here. Oh my goodness, this game.
What a game. That line sounds about right to me. I think like Oregon is better. They're at home. I think both of these teams are awesome. This is just a sick game. It's just a privilege for anyone who gets to watch it. What a game.
So in a similar vein to Ohio State, Illinois, what has Indiana learned since last year when they barely hung on to beat a bad Michigan team? They got smoked by Ohio State. They got smoked by Notre Dame. What have they learned? And Oregon is as live of a wire as you're going to get on both sides of the ball. I think they're going to have a ton of trouble playing in that stadium, but I don't know. Has Mendoza played there before? Did he play there with Cal?
Probably. I don't know.
Yes, his first year, 2023, with Cal. Fernando Mendoza played at Oregon. 18 of 34 for 177 yards and a pick. Cal got smoked, but like so in that vein, like this is a dude who's not going to be cowed by that environment, and Signetti doesn't
No,
give
he
a
sure
flying
doesn't.
F. So who knows? Maybe they can come in and do something, but it's going to be it'll be very telling.
Our game is on alongside that. So, for all of us, either watching at a sports bar where there will be multiple screens up, or get new batteries in your remote for back and forth watching, or, pull out a second screen or something like that and get that game on, the smaller screen alongside our game against Penn State. Also at 2:30 on Big Ten Network, Nebraska at Maryland. Nebraska is a 6.5 point road favorite here.
That's
week
wild.
Maryland is this the week Maryland learns to win?
I don't know. That's a wild line to me. I think this game is going to be a shootout. I think both of these quarterbacks are going to have big games. So I don't know.
I mean, I think Nebraska's better than Washington, though. That's what Washington was at Maryland last week, and they won. They didn't cover, but they won. That doesn't surprise me. I think Nebraska should be favored here. Their defense is definitely better than Washington's. But can Maryland learn from last week? No doubt Malik Washington can do things against Nebraska, and I have no faith in Nebraska's offense to put it on them. So who knows? Maybe the Terps get squirrely. This is a banger of a week in the Big Ten. These are all good games.
You really?
6 o'clock on FS1. You got Iowa at Wisconsin.
The Schadenfreude Bowl.
Hide your children. Over under 36.5. That sounds about right. Could neither of these teams make it to 20 points? Absolutely. Could Wisconsin not make it to 10 points? Absolutely.
I think Iowa's going to beat them 30-10.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think this is a beatdown.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know. Against Iowa's defensive line, Wisconsin can't do anything. I mean, again, I think Iowa's going to win. I don't think either of these teams can score many points. I don't know how Wisconsin scores any points.
I think Gronowski is back, is what I heard. I'm not 100%, but it sounds like he's set to play. He did get banged up their last game, and obviously they were off last week.
Is Edwards going to play for Wisconsin? There was a breaking news. Edwards ruled out right before last week. I don't know if that means he's close or not or what, but
that's a good question. I'm not sure. You've got the NBC game, Michigan at USC. USC a 2.5 point home favorite. This is going to be interesting.
And yet USC unranked and Michigan number 15.
I know. USC throws for all of the yards, every game. That passing offense is absolutely incendiary. That's the thing they do well. That's just about it. They're basically the best passing team in the whole country. That's the thing. And Michigan is kind of a little bit this, great run defense. That doesn't really make any difference in this game. USC can hit them the way that a team would want to hit Michigan. So I guess the line makes sense.
Styles make fights. Michigan's going to try to just power their way down and control the clock, and USC is going to try to score in 4 seconds when they come back on the field.
Right.
And finally in the Big Ten, you got Purdue at Minnesota. Minnesota a 7.5 point home favorite.
This game's kind of meh. This is the one that this one and then the Rutgers Washington games aren't striking the mood for me. But all the other ones are bangers.
Well, of course, but these are two teams we're obviously all circling big time right now. So we'll continue to monitor both of them, especially Purdue.
That's a very good point.
Just early weather report of Saturday in central Pennsylvania. You're looking at partly cloudy, high of 64, 15% chance of rain. So doesn't look like at this point, as we record on Monday night, that weather is going to be a fact. We're not necessarily going to get a slop game, but obviously we shall see.
I hope we. I don't think I want to. I don't think I want a
agree.
slop game.
I agree with you. Any other games nationally? It seems like all the big ammo is in the Big Ten this week. A couple games maybe.
Well, Red River. I mean, we mentioned Oklahoma, Texas, which
number 6 Oklahoma
never
against
goes the way
unranked Texas.
Yeah, that usually goes poorly for the team that's
Sure.
ranked super high. So we'll see. And then Alabama at Missouri. So like a lot was made of the Alabama Vanderbilt game, of course, because game day was there. This is the game that feels a lot more risky for Alabama, in my opinion, in that they have to travel to Mizzou, who's been quite good this year. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of other games that probably will be fun and interesting, but nothing is really jumping out off the page. Real quick before we get out of here, let's hit Field Hockey Corner. The Cats continue to roll. Heading out to Iowa City this past weekend, knocking off number 10 Iowa 3-1.
Another big. I mean, again, they were tested again. Remember, this team has basically not given up goals all season. So in that vein, they haven't trailed all season.
Well, no, they
but
did.
This is another one where
Louisville for most of the game.
Oh no. Oh, I know. Oh, and that's the thing is like with Louisville
Sure.
as the one big exception. Well, this was the other one. This team has shown that not only can they just stone a bunch of teams, they can win tough too. They did it at Louisville. And then this is the number 10 team in the country at home. You're at Iowa. You go down a goal on the road against a really good team, a team that might be the second best team in the Big Ten. And the Cats just totally bounced back. Ilsa Trump, 2 goals. Piper Boers, 1 goal. Ashley Sessa assisted on all of them. And big one, this was Coach Tracy Fuchs's 250th win as a head coach. So super significant win. And yeah, this team continues to roll.
They've got some excitement coming up. Who do they have? Somebody this Friday, and then they have Princeton, who was a top 10 team to start the season.
We got Penn State coming up this Friday, so we got a little back-to-back Nittany Lion action. Friday night on the lake, and then Saturday in State College for the football team. So a lot of Penn State this week, and then next Monday, a week from tonight as we record, Princeton. I guess it's 2:00 in the afternoon. Yeah, that's Columbus Day, isn't it? Indigenous Peoples Day. So
yep. Yeah,
So
yeah,
now
Monday.
all of a sudden a 2 p.m. game on a holiday. Interesting, huh? Maybe maybe we make a little sojourn out to the lake. I don't know.
Yeah. And this is one of those weeks where if you're like, well, it's hard for me to get out to Evanston twice in the same weekend for football and field hockey, this would be the weekend, right? You can get out to one of these games.
And then next Friday they head out to play Rutgers, a tough Big Ten matchup there. So.
Yep, we talked about at the start of the year. This is a very backloaded schedule. There's a lot of big Big Ten matchups still to come, but this team is absolutely rolling, taking all comers right now.
And any final thoughts before we get out of here tonight, guys?
Well, all of you in the city, Beer Miscuous, as always, is your spot. Sammy and I, though, if you're out in the suburbs or you want to come out, Miller's Ale House in Lombard. We will be there again. That is our away game spot this year. We had a fun little crowd last time, but come join us. Like it's going to be fun. Like that's the spot. Miller's Ale House in Lombard. Come on out. Easy place to get to from just about anywhere in the burbs. And we'd love to see you.
So with that, we'll go ahead and leave it there for tonight. Head to our website, westloppirates.com, where you can leave comments and questions. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube, at Westlop Pirates. You can always email us, westloppirates@gmail.com. Tune in next time as we give our visceral and statistical views on Northwestern athletics, and look for us in the West Tech lot of Martin Stadium, flying the red pirate flag, because we give no quarter, especially the fourth. For John Lacombe and Eric Scasbo, I'm Sam Walter. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time.